Hey, awesome folks, how's it going? I can see there's so much going on in the chat, and that is so cool. Hi, Avirappa, welcome back. Hi there, Gayon. I see so many familiar names, and that always makes me so happy. So, how are we doing, folks? Day one of GHW all over again. I know you all are always super excited about GHW. Oh, is there a strong echo? Let me see if I can fix that. Is it just for user Sandra or is it for everyone? I can quickly fix that. Okay, no echo for others. All right, great. So I'm guessing, Sandra, there might be some double audio for you. Perfect. All right, you see so many hellos. That is so awesome. Hello, Kushal. Hello, Kshitij. Oh, welcome back, Shamari. So, Shamari, I'm not sure if you're okay telling me what you did tell me earlier on Discord, but I would love to share it with everyone because that is so inspiring. Uh, awesome, folks. That is so sweet, Shamari. I look forward to my card then for sure. Hi Suraj, welcome to the stream. Alright folks, let's dive right in because today is a tad bit of a long topic. I mean, in the past, I have always ran over to giving it for like this topic goes on when I do it for like almost 3 hours. I'm gonna try and keep it short and to the point today. But if you all have questions, if you all have because there's gonna be a lot of hands-on, just stop me. It's okay. We have a lot of time just to check on the calendar. There's nothing, I think, for 5 hours after this stream. So don't worry about it. We can take our time and oh, perfect. So Shamari is actually not a student. I mean, she is a student. She's a true sense, true sense of the word of student. She's actually changing careers right now. And yeah, that is amazing. That's so inspiring. Shamari apparently has a work experience of what she was doing earlier for at least 10-15 years, I'm assuming. But that is so amazing. I remember reading the Discord message and having my mind blown. But you're very inspiring, Shamari. Truly. All right, folks, let's dive right in to our today's sessions. How to collaborate with GitHub. So, in case y'all are wondering what is MLH localhost, well, MLH localhost used to be a program that we used to run like at least 2 years ago. Like, we haven't run it in that long, and it was basically us collaborating with different companies, and we used to have these tiny workshops with them. It wound down a long time ago. For that matter, even our GHWs used to be called local build days, so local host days. And yeah, it has been a while since we've had that, but these slides are still awesome. And there used to be a specific attendee copy. So if you all want that after the workshop, just tell me and I'll drop the link for you all. All right, folks, awesome. Let's get started. In case y'all are joining us for the first time, hey folks, I am Rithvi, and I'm in the middle of a move, so half my stuff is in Pune, half my stuff is in Bangalore. So I managed, because this week, according to when I was planning, left all my MLHR t-shirts in Bangalore. So this week you're going to see me in different hacker t-shirts. And yeah, I'm a maker as my background suggests. Soon I'll be losing this background, but hopefully we'll do something cool for Bangalore. And I recently joined the reason I'm moving to Bangalore is because I've joined as a developer advocate at Dice.io. Do check it out because maybe by next GHW you're going to hear me talk about it a lot. And of course, I'm a coach here for almost 2 years, actually properly 2 years this month. Awesome, let's dive right in. What will you be learning today? Thank you. Thank you, Shamari. Yes, welcome back, Roshan. Let's get started indeed. Alright, so what will we be learning today? We'll be learning the basics of Git and GitHub. Yes, they're two different things, and they're actually very cool. The GitHub workflow and optional, but I think we'll do it if we have time. If we cross the 1.5 hour mark, we can maybe take a break for like 30 minutes and come back and meet for another 40 minutes. But I would suggest you all get started with command line Git as well, because it's very cool. And I mean, if y'all are going to work as developers at any point in your career, you'll be using this a lot, right? You might not use GitHub for that matter. You might use GitLab. You might use Bitbucket, but you'll definitely use Git command line. That stays constant throughout. Oh man, I'm gonna cry at that question. Finding a flat in Bangalore is just, it's a rant for another time, folks. If y'all are ever moving to India, Bangalore is not a good place. I mean, I'm complaining, of course, because I'm in the process of getting one, but hi, Krusty Kunal, welcome back. Hi, Maruti. That's okay. It's a very simple topic, and in the next hour, you're all going to be experts. All right, so trust me on that. We'll make our own GitHub repo and we'll play around with it. All right, awesome. Let's dive right in. So let's get into introduction of Git and GitHub. So it says we're going to collaborate together, right? But how are we going to collaborate together, right? There's something called version control. Why did we feel the need to have version control, right? So let me go back to this slide, right? So remember, like, I don't know if you all joined me in my API week, but I definitely covered this part that, APIs are older than the internet, right? So people were collaborating with each other and, communicating with each other, or applications communicating with each other long back, right? Once the web came into the picture, everyone could together work on a single code base. Regardless of now the web, before, if you worked in the company and you had access to the local code base, everyone was still working on the code base together. So there was something called version control. Now imagine if I'm committing a code. Forget commit. Imagine I'm writing a code. So we have an application for MLH where we're, trying to, change the UI. We're like, you know what? Pink goes better with MLH. So we're changing the UI and everything in the application to pink. And I start changing the icon. Then you say, okay, fine, you change the icons. I'll change the text. So I changed the icons, but I haven't changed the text. So I, make the changes and save the code. Then you come in, you've not changed the graphics, but have changed the text. Now, what version will the final production code base use? So to make sure that all the changes applied, and that regardless of what change you had made, do you want to keep the other changes or not, there was something called version control. So you can see that, okay, these changes were made to the original code base. These are the changes that I've made, but these are the changes that are not the same as the production code base. So what you did was you took the version, you pulled the latest version, merged it with your current version. So now you have pulled the pink graphics, and now you've added the pink text. And now when you push it, the final version is the version that everyone else will now pull into their code base, and only then make changes. Let's say you did make changes before that, that's where the whole GitHub workflow or the Git workflow comes into picture, where you can play around with, okay, I want to keep this change, but okay, I don't like this change, and definitely shouldn't go in the production code base. So you change that as well and then push it, right? Basically, no merge conflicts, right? So this is a very, very, superficial explanation. We'll talk about it more as we dive deep. But welcome, Malavi. I'm so glad this is your first session. To maintain a history of project, exactly. You can do both, actually. Not just manually or command line. There are also GUIs, so not just GitHub GUIs. So you all might be aware of the GitHub desktop, which is very cool. There's also anything that you use, right? For example, GitHub is just one of the Git hosting websites. We'll look into it more, right? So GitHub is one of the Git hosting websites. There are multiple Git hosting websites, right? For example, there's GitLab. That's one of the, then there's Bitbucket. All of them, you basically connect to your Git command line, and then all these companies, they have their own GUIs. So you can see the entire flow. Actually, there was this really cool React project one of you all had made, where if I ran it, I put the GitHub repo, it actually graphed everything that the GitHub had gone through, that the code base had gone through. I'll try and look that up for you all. Precisely, right? Thank you, Marathi. Right, all right, let's dive right into Git versus GitHub. All right, so now you'll understand what's Git. All right, so everything that I told you about is Git. Forget Git, it's not even Git, it's actually version control systems. Git is not the only version control software out there. All right, so Git is a version control system. We know that, right? GitHub is a platform for code collaboration. So what GitHub does is basically it helps you put your version controlled commits, history, pull and push onto the web, right? So it's basically if you were working in a company where you did not need, the web. Let's say everyone comes to the office, no one works from home. Y'all can have a local server and y'all can be pushing it there. Y'all don't really need a Git hosting website. You'll have your own Git hosting, the project hosting website. However, GitHub helps you put all your Git changes and your entire Git history onto the web where you can collaborate with others more easily, right? So Git can be used with various tools locally on your computer to help you keep track of your changes. Now, not every time you need to push it to GitHub. Let's say you're working on a passion project or a personal project and you're just doing it for you, right? You're just practicing it. Having a Git history there will help you, basically if let's say a package changes. So you can go back to a certain level, make sure that you pull in that package or change the package there and make the changes, flow from there. So there are a lot of Git commands that even a lot of, people working on production, code bases don't use, but they exist and there's a lot you can do with them, right? But the point of Git is to keep local changes, a track of local changes, right? And then you push it either to your local production code base or on a on a web hosted Git website, all right? Yes, that is a great answer. So, that is a great question. So, GitLab and GitHub are basically different Git hosting websites. So, I did this to my dad. So, they're basically competitors, right? They have some different features. Uh, the main differences are really for their enterprise clients. When they're selling to an enterprise client, they're like, oh, you know what, we have this better than that. But basically, they're the same. And GitHub is more friendly towards students, and they're expanding more in terms of, GitHub has GitHub pages, they have GitHub actions, and they have project boards. GitLab also has most of those features, but they're not really trying to market it to students and freshers, unlike GitHub, right? So they're basically competitors. They do the same thing, literally the same thing. Uh, Honestly, and I am not sure, I'm pretty sure you can also host other version control systems onto GitHub. I've never tried it. I'll have to look that up. But I know for a fact that GitLab has proper connections with other version control systems like Mercurial. All right. X indeed. Thank you for correcting, Rahim Dan. All right. I hope I haven't missed any questions till now. It's a pretty simple topic. I know you all will do great once you start working with it. It might seem a little confusing. That's a great observation. Yes, GitLab is mostly focused on DevOps and CI/CD. In all honesty, I haven't really used GitLab much. So my dad's company used to use GitLab a lot. They were their enterprise clients, and I got my dad to put a GitHub sticker on his laptop. It was hilarious. Uh, I think the office still remembers him for that. But yeah, they're basically competitors for the most part. I mean, in this context, anyway. All right. Awesome. So, Why version control system, right? Because simply communicating apart. Now I've given you a basics, idea of how it works. Now imagine if this system did not exist and I directly asked you, okay, why version control system? It would be painful, right? Imagine having, a user opens their app and they're like, okay, pink graphics, blue, red, yellow text, and the next time they open, blue, red, yellow graphics and pink text. They're going to be very confused what we're doing, right? That would be the true breaking of A/B testing, and that is true. It is amazing, the Git extension. There are various tools out there to help you use the entire Git and GitHub workflow more easily. But yeah, so emailing around changes is painful. That hey, I've changed the graphics, and let's say even if emailing around wasn't painful, right? Okay, that you have a script set up. Every time waiting for the other person to change the, send you the changes, or then manually adding those changes into your code base is very tedious, right? So what version control system does is it logs features in a searchable way, right? So instead of renaming a file, so let's say I did version 0.1, you did version 0.2, it's going to make sure that mine does not get erased, right? Suddenly point one won't become point two. There'll be a point one that you can still see what point one was, and then point two, right? So collaborators can work in parallel and merge their changes automatically instead of manually comparing the differences between a file. Which, given, so maybe for a simple website or a small file is simple and easy to do, but for anything bigger than maybe say 20 files, it's a nightmare, right? You never know if accidentally there's been some small typo change and the entire code base is breaking, right? So how does version control system really log these changes, right? So before we explore GitHub, so the entire system behind it being able to store so many files and so many versions so efficiently is because it uses the snapshot system. What's a snapshot system? It basically takes the entire project's file system, takes a snapshot and only changes and only logs the changes. So if you all have ever downloaded a OS image, there's a reason it's an image, right? It's an image because it's basically a snapshot of the entire structure of that OS. That's exactly what GitHub, my bad, Git does, right? It takes a snapshot of the entire directory and only, it logs the changes. So let's say it's like those changing films, those picture booklets where you flip through and you can see the tiny changes happening, right? The artist only draws what is different in the next picture, right? The rest of the structure remains the same, which is why when you flip through it, you can see an entire moving pattern. Precisely, image files, right? So what it does, it keeps taking pictures and then it kind of stacks them on so you can see only the changes when you're flipping through. Make sense? Alright folks, let's move on to GitHub. This is the fun part, right? So let's go over the terms and then what we'll do is this is actually a much older version of the screen. There are so many new features since this point, and I always say this, especially when we do the creative use of GitHub. uh, GitHub has so much that you can do, and just not so much. Even if you just take one tiny feature and just click around and look at how people have used it, you can see how creative you can get. So if in the future you are planning to participate in the creative use of GitHub, uh, today is going to be a good chance for you all to see, what all the extent of GitHub is, right? Awesome. So what's a pull request? Okay, I'm just going to take a quick breather here and ask if there are any questions. All right, I don't see any questions coming in, which is great. But if you all have any questions at any point, feel free to ask. I'll stop even once we start the hands-on part. Uh, it's okay if it's an individual error. Trust me, you'll be helping tons of people now and later who watch this video. All right, Awesome. So let's start with the key terms in Git and GitHub, right? So there's something called a pull request, right? So what's a pull request? It's a way to make changes to someone else's code by submitting your own changes for a review, right? What does that mean? So I changed my graphics to pink. My text is still blue, red, yellow. And then you come in and you're like, okay, I've made changes to the text and you'll submit a pull request. However, when you submit a pull request, it's going to tell you that, okay, these changes are different from the next. So me as a reviewer, either I'll tell you that, hey, I can't pull your entire code base in. So you're going to probably have to go back and resolve the conflicts, which is basically saying that, okay, this is different from the existing code base, like the current code base, and then you'll come and basically merge the pull request. But the point remains the same. You're basically saying that, hey, I've made these changes. Can you please, you know, uh, push them or rather merge them into the main code base? But it won't happen right away. When you submit a pull request, someone will review it, or based on how your organization is structured, you might review it yourself, your peer might review it, and hence it'll get merged. Issues. That's a great place for you, especially if you plan to participate in Hacktoberfest. All right. So, what's Hacktoberfest? If you're curious, get back to me later. I'll explain it to you. But basically, issues is where if let's say you go to an open source project and you want to contribute, you say, hey, you know what, this is a really cool project. How do I start adding features? How do I start helping the code base? That is where issues comes in. So in your GitHub repo, there's something called issues. You go on the issues and they'll tell you that, okay, there's a bug here, this is a feature that they're planning to put, this is a UI error. And usually issues also have labels. This is a good first time issue. So if you're getting started with the code base, if you're getting started with the whole open source journey, you look up first time issues and you start, taking it up. Once you say that, okay, I want to solve this issue, you'll be assigned that issue. So when you get assigned, that's how someone else who comes to that issue knows that, okay, no, someone is working on it, right? And again, based on the organization, based on the structure of the project, either you will have to, do some activity on the issue in a frequency that they specify, or they'll assign it to the next person who's interested in the issue. Now this is a very specific open source way. It will change again from organization to project, however you go. All right. Awesome. So I have told you way more than what was on the slides. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the slides right now, and I'll open the GitHub web page and we'll actually create a repo together. All right. Now you all don't have to create the repo with me, but if you all want to as a practice, go for it. You all can always delete it later. To do so, however, you will have to either sign into your GitHub account or sign up for one. So I'm going to give you all say 4 minutes to either log into your GitHub accounts or just sign up. All right. I am waiting for you all to, okay. Congratulations, Roshan. I haven't seen that project. I look forward to seeing it after the stream though. Awesome. So sign up for GitHub. If you all want the link, let me know. And I will also share my screen. That's a great question. So, what are Git work trees? Let's say that you have like 3 different features you all are working on together, right? So, you will have different feature branches. That is not it. If let's say you are maintaining 3 different versions of the code, let's say you have an alpha code in which you're working on the feature, and you have a beta code which you have worked on a feature and now it's ready for testing with a bigger audience, and then you have the stable code, right? Stable code is where you're fixing bugs, you're fixing tiny breaks, you're fixing maybe the UI to some extent, right? So there are 3 different versions of the same code base, right? Same thing. I think my favorite example to give here is Flutter. So initially, or I think still, I haven't seen it in a while, they used to have alpha, beta, and the stable release. So alpha used to be the craziest new features. So if you were working on the alpha, or if you knew about the alpha version, it would break the most too, but it would have the latest features that would probably be released a year late, right? And then there was beta. There was, okay, this is still in testing, so be careful, it might break. And the stable release is, okay, this won't break. If it does, we'll fix it ASAP. Right? Beta and alpha come with the warning that, hey, this might break. We're figuring a lot of things out. So when there are three different versions that are being actively worked upon, now in that single version, let's say alpha, there are two features that are being worked upon. They have their own Git trees. So basically, there'll be three developers working on a single feature. Now imagine that, right? So this is one single code base. You already have three different versions. Now this probably has multiple, feature versions happening. Beta has different issues and feature version happening, and this keeps diversifying the bigger the code base gets, right? So that becomes a Git working tree. Does that make sense, Arivappa? All right. Awesome, right? So again, I will try and look up that. I think, you know what? Let me see if I can find that project right away. Um, Let me see if I can find it. I think I found it. Git graph. So this is actually written by someone who is currently studying his master's and actually runs a really cool community called our tech community. This was his project Git graph, where it's basically just visualizing your entire graph, Git history. So have a look at this. Alright, that's a very cool project, and you know what? I will actually share my screen to that. Right, folks. I hope you all have signed into GitHub. If not signed up, I'm going to quickly open GitHub for me as well. Let's see if it's signed into my browser for that matter. Yep, I'm signed in here, so I'm going to share that screen. Alright, folks, is my screen visible? Alright, I hope you all have signed into your GitHub account. Hey Ahmed, welcome to the stream. It's been a while. Awesome. Shamari has signed in. Danam has signed in. Malawi has signed in. Abhijit has signed in. Awesome. So Ahmed, we're signing into our GitHub accounts today. Right now, Shita just signed in. Awesome, folks. Great. So I'll get started because I see a lot of people have signed in. And if you all haven't, it's okay. I'm just going to be playing around and showing you all different tools that are still not on the slides. Alright, so y'all can see it looks fairly different when you're signed in. So let's look at, see, you can see for you beta, right? Because I've signed up for the beta version, right? So this might be slightly different for the people who are using stable versions, right? Now, these are the latest changes in the, either repository I'm following or repositories they think I might be interested in. These are the people I am following. So, or I have starred, so then when people follow me also, I get notifications here. And awesome. So let's look into my repositories. These are some of the recent repositories I either, joined, contributed somehow, or try to. So most of these are mine actually, so you all can see most of them are also GHW. So this is something I did. That's basically your profile that you can do. So if you all want to today just play around with readme, if you all mark down, this is what you all can do. This is what my profile looks like. So if I go here, your profile, this is what it looks like. This is a readme, and if you all want to edit it at any point, this is the repo that you need to create, and it works. Right, so you can see it says that this is a special repository, right? Awesome. So that's your personal repository, and this also, because it's a repository, you can keep track of all the changes that you have made. Right now, this I edited directly onto the GitHub website. What I did was I literally went here, clicked on edit, and when I did, it opened a readme, and you all can see it's telling me that this is the current one. I can make any changes. The way I've written here is basically what Markdown is. So you can see different punctuation marks over here are basically being transcribed into different features. For example, bullet points, heading, links. All of this is basically the format here is called Markdown. Awesome. So if I were to edit something, that's what will we edit? Okay, I don't feel like editing anything here because it took me a while to get this up. But okay, let's see. I think I can add a link here, right? Let's add a threads link here. So this, I'm just gonna copy paste one of this entire thing. So copy, enter, and see if now that there are double hyphens. So if I put a hyphen here and I put a space here, you'll see that it becomes a sub bullet point, right? But that's not what we want. So I am gonna reformat it and make this into threads. I don't want to change the link just yet because this is more of an experiment and a demo. So threads, review, and there we go. Now what it'll do is it'll ask me when I say commit changes, it's going to tell me that, okay, what's your commit message? I'm going to put demo GHW data. And then it's asking me if I want to create a new branch, which is basically like someone creating an alpha branch when they start writing a new feature. Commit email. I also have my college email, but I'm going to use my own email. And I am going to commit changes. I can also add an extended description, which is always recommended, what you're changing, why you're changing. And again, there's usually a template depending on the organization. And then you commit changes. And once you do over here, and now if I go back to my code, you will be able to see in the commits 4 commits. All right, so that is not what I want to do though. Ahmed is being sarcastic here, folks. He's one of the oldest GHW attendees, especially in my streams. Okay, folks. So that's how you change. Now I'll change it back later, but this is not where I want to go. This is my profile, and now you can see that I've quite a few repositories. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and search for MLH. And this is the, ideally the repository that we would have committed to, but we're not going to be doing this. We won't be, creating pull requests here because this is not maintained, as you can see. So when you go to a repo, let's look at the structure of the repo again, right? We already looked at pull requests. Remember the other image that we have in our PPT did not have these things. It had pull requests and it directly had issues, right? So let's look at the repo, right? So oh, because this is the original repo. My bad, folks. That was the fork. But either way, this is, you can see this MLH is also archived it. So they archived it more than a year ago because we don't use this actively anymore. But this used to be really cool. Basically, you used to make pull requests with your name and your city, and it used to appear on the map that was deployed. You know what? We can actually make a new one for new GHWs. Regardless. So you can see there's a lot happening here. So this is the main repository, right? This is the original repository because you can see it is the username and the repo. Now, if you go back, this is my fork, right? So this is the original, this is my repository, and it will tell you that this is not an original repository, it's forked. What is a fork? So a fork is basically you creating the copy of the current code base. Make sense, folks? So let's say how do you start making changes, or how do you first copy the repo? So let's say you go to a project and you're like, okay, I can start making changes. Now there's a high chance they won't let you commit to the code base directly. What you have to do is you have to first copy the entire code base onto your repo, your GitHub account. Then you basically clone it, or you copy it into your local system. You first push changes into the web version of your repo, the local one, the one that's in your account, and then you create pull requests to the original repo. Make sense, right? So it'll get clearer as we go. All right, but this is how it usually the workflow is, right? So you can say that I'm not going to sync the fork, because if I did sync the fork, then this will also get archived, and I cannot do this because you can see I cannot open a pull request because well, one, I do not have any new commits, and because the branch is also ahead. All right, awesome. So okay, we won't be using this, but let's have a look at some things. Okay, because this is archived and this is not the original repo, you can't see issues. So let's create an, okay, there you go, you can. So this is issues, right? There was an error page, new location code. Okay, and the pull requests. You can see there are so many people who have made pull requests over the years. There are no actions, or there are actions. So it has actions, which is basically if any one of these people pushed changes and had a pull request, it would merge the pull request, right? Then there's the project board that GitHub has. So what project board does is basically it is like a Jira board in GitHub. Then there's security, where you can put security policies, code scanning, and basically any vulnerability alerts happen here. Then there are insights, how many pull requests, issues. Then you have community. You can set up discussions. So discussions wasn't there when this repository was made. It's a new feature. You can see contributors, the people who have contributed, community, basically how good, what they're following, checklist, etc. Commits, this is literally, getting your entire commits data and then, making a graph out of it. As you can see, no recent commits. Code frequency dependency graph. Okay, so let's look at a, slightly more active repository. I'm just going to go here into, explore. So explore repository. So there's WordPress. Let's go into WordPress. Okay, so this, you can see this is a pretty active repository because the last commit was made 25 minutes ago. So someone committed 25 minutes ago, which means this is a very, very recent repository, and it's also very, is maintained by a lot of people, right? So 1,000 people are contributing to it, or have at any given point contributed to it. There are GitHub pages that they've set up, they have releases in packages, and they have a plugin. All right. Awesome. This is the tag, and this is what they're doing. This is what the repo is basically doing, right? It's a block editor project for WordPress. All right. Awesome. So they have tons of issues, and you can see at any big project, especially open source, will have contribution guidelines, right? So this is contribute, this is contributors handbook, code contributions page, getting started with contribution. They usually are super friendly to beginners, and since it is an open source software, there's usually a license attached to it. So over here, it has a GNU, General Public License. You can always read about them later. All right, let's look at the repo here. I hope there are no questions till this point. So let's look at the repo, right? So when I click on commits, you can see that there have been 27,000 different changes committed to this repo, right? Then if you go into issues, let's see, there are so many issues, and you see these colorful blocks, these are your labels. So remember I told you, if you go to a new let's say this is the open source project you want to start contributing to, I will go to label, right? And I'll look for first. So you can see good first issue, good first review, if you ever want to start reviewing it. There's a first time contributor, right? So you can go to the good first issue, because the good first time contributor is for the pull request, right? So let's see, these are all the issues that have been marked that either they're easy or they're easy to find maybe not that easy to fix, but you can definitely get started easily, right? So, and along with the good first issue, it also says what the issue is about. So this needs design feedback, this is a bug, right? Then this is the package scripts that you're going to be working on over here. So if, let's say, you know what you want to work on, right? So let's say there's also something called documentation. So a lot of people usually so there you go, right? So this is developer documentation. So if I click on this, now it's going to give me filters for both the things, good first time issue and developer documentation, right? So if I go here, it's only one, it's only showing one. So let's say good first time issue. Now it will show me both of them, right? So it's a good first issue and it's a documentation point, and you can see over here there's someone assigned to it. So if you go here, you'll probably want to read the entire conversation and see if someone's actively working on it. If not, you can go ask that, hey, can I work on this? And they'll probably assign you, right? So let's say you go here, you can see there are 7 people who have commented on it, but no one's assigned to it. So there's a high chance that someone can work on it. So someone's asked about it, no one's replied, so you can ask again, and they will probably reply. Although I feel that from the conversation, this has been already worked upon, right? So this is how you go about it. So let's go back to code. And I think we're good. So over here, this is where branches come in. Remember, I told you different versions and different features have different branches. That's how your work trees get created. Once an entire feature gets completed, then you merge it into your release. So these are your release branches, and then you have tags also, right? So this is your release tags, you can see, right? So these are all feature branches, and each feature branch has a tag with them, and the final tag is what goes through the release. Make sense, folks? Does this make sense? Then there's let's look into this in a bit, right? So they have discussions active, so you can see people are talking about what to do next. There's ideas, there's polls, right? This developer experience, which is what I basically work in, right? So awesome. Then this pull requests. So you can see there are tons of pull requests open. There are people reviewing it constantly and merging it. And every time you create a pull request, you can also assign the person who's reviewing it, if you know who's going to be reviewing it. All right. Then there's actions. They have multiple actions here that they're probably experimenting it, and you can see that last time when we saw that the last code was merged 25 minutes ago, and a lot of actions have run as soon as that was merged. So you can see there are a lot of actions that completed 25 minutes ago, 22 minutes ago, right? So this is very cool, right? And you can always add more actions here. Do you all know what are GitHub actions? I've been using that term so much, I never really asked if. All right, I see a lot of questions here. Uh, fix issues. How to fix issues. All right, so how to fix issues is basically you'll have to look at what the issue is talking about. Like I said, there are different labels. So depending on the tech stack, depending on the type of project, the labels will differ. Sometimes there'll be, okay, you want to work on a script, you want to work on Python. Based on that, your labels will change a lot, right? So how to fix it? You ask, okay, I want to work on this. They'll tell you, okay, this is your approach. Or they'll ask you what your approach is, and then based on that, you can go and make the changes and write code for them. All right. Thank you, Maruti, for replying. Exactly. So you clone the project. So you fork the project, then clone the project, and from the main repo, you pick up an issue and start working on it. Make sure that you get them to assign you, because otherwise, more than one person ends up working on the same issue. And then your changes might be great. Both of your changes might be great, but only one gets merged. Release tags are basically, how packages have releases. So they plan it, right? There's something called a roadmap, software roadmap. So they say, okay, in this release, we want this and this feature. So they first have feature branches, and then those features basically have tags that, okay, this is going to go for this release. So once they're done, they're kind of pulled into that release, and then the release goes out. Makes sense? Precisely. Thank you, Firoz. Yes, you can have PR. So GitHub Actions is basically automation, right? And it can be anything. It can be you pushing your deployment to a static website every time a pull request is merged, or if you see a commit or certain type of pull request, you automatically merge it or you automatically delete it. So for example, someone's just trying to mess around with your code. You just see a particular script or a particular command in the pull request and you automatically delete the pull request. Alright, folks? So GitHub Actions is basically just automation. I actually had a stream this week for GitHub Actions on Sunday, but unfortunately I'm not available. So maybe we'll do it in next GHW. Alright, folks? Awesome! Great. So we are almost through with the GitHub workflow. So let's quickly create a repo. Since you all have all signed in, I'm going to quickly send you the link to that repo and then we can fork it and clone it. Alright? So let's do that. I'm going to quickly create a new repo. So new repo. So templates, okay. What are templates? Templates are usually, so let's say you come to, so Diet might have templates soon, right? So what are templates? You come and you're like, okay, I want to create this website, but I already want to use this base that is available. So we'll have templates available where you click on the template and it'll just create your basic boilerplate code, and then you can just start committing to it, right? It's basically your starter kit, but directly into GitHub. So it makes your life much easier, right? So you can see there are so many templates, right? Diet has so many templates. And if I start with this, it basically has tons of boilerplate code, and I just need to maybe add the API keys or auth codes, and then it'll work. All right. And see, there's another one that I used at some point, which is why it's here. It's Greek trainer resume starter. I don't think I ever completed that though, right? And then this was data stack. So let's say if I'm creating a tutorial for y'all, you know what? I'll actually try and do that. So let's say when we did API week, right? There was a lot of boilerplate code that you all did not need to know about. I mean, it's good you know about it, but you could have skipped that part because your main focus was learning API. I could create a template and you all could just pull in the template and make changes with me. Make sense? So let's not use a template. We do not need template. Our repo name is going to be GHW. GHW, what is this? Data, Git. Awesome. This is available. Maybe let's add 23 to it. 23. Okay, description. It's always good to describe your repo, what you're doing with it. So this is a GitHub intro workshop for GHW data week. Awesome. So I'm going to keep this public. I will not add a README for now. And I will add a license. So these are the usual common, the popular open source licenses that are used. Now I usually stick with the MIT license because at some point I did some research and I was like, okay, this works for me. And okay, what is a git ignore? A git ignore is basically anything that you do not want, Git to be watching for changes, right? So that is a great question, Ahmed. Let me see if I can pull some links for you. Oh, absolutely, Sumong. You can totally do that with the recording. So at this point, if you're talking about a new repo, it's really pointless because there's nothing that you can add to git ignore. Because let's say, so you can see there are templates. I have not used the new repo thing since they introduced git ignore templates. But you can see, right? For example, if I chose Android, there's a ton of files in Android that do not need to be watched because they're never changing. They're just a bulk of, the boilerplate code that is for sure going to remain the same. So it automatically starts not watching them and keeps an eye for not, observing any changes in them. Or let's say you have something called Unity. I'm pretty sure Unity must have a template here as well, right? So Unity, there's a bulk of, assets that you do not want to be watching. Eagle, right? A lot of files in your PCB that do not change. That's most of the boilerplate that don't need to, basically be pushed every time. Kotlin, Lithium. So you can see there's a lot of templates here, and I'm very very curious to see a lot of them Qt. So if you all are using Qt.py or Qt.cpp, whichever one, there's Python, there's Godot, which is another game engine. It should have been Unity. I can't see. Ah, there we go. Unreal Engine and Unity, right? So there's a lot of there's assets, a lot of things that you cannot or you do not want to keep a track of on the code level. So you ignore it. So that is what git ignore is. So what git ignore does is basically it ignores anything that you know is not relevant to the code directly or cannot or does not need to be tracked on the git level, right? Assets, you can literally copy paste them. It takes up a lot of space as well, right? Awesome, folks. Let us create this repo then. All right. So I am creating it in my personal account. And how did I know that? Because in my profile picture there was a drop down where I could have chosen my organization as well, right? So I won't create a new repo, but I'm just going to show it to you all because I think I missed that. So over here, you can see I can select all the organizations I'm a part of. So these organizations I am a part of, but I do not have enough permissions. All the other organizations I can very easily create it, right? So I'm going to go back. I do not want to create another repo. Right? Okay, perfect. So there's a license code and that's it, right? And apart from that, this is a totally empty repo. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and see if I can switch my account or, try and fork it into my organization. So let's say I go into IEEE GHW. So you can see there are a lot of websites here. So let me go here. GitHub. And I can go here and I can go on fork. Code. There you go. So create a new fork. And I can create a new fork in, say, this organization or any other organization. And basically what I'm doing is I'm copying the entire code base into the next user, which is this time an organization user. And basically then they can commit to the locally without any permission, so without any restrictions rather. So they can push all the code. But to push code into the original repo, they will have to take either permissions or will need to create a pull request which needs to be reviewed. All right, folks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this. I'm not sure what happened. What? Where are we? Oh, because we were in the wrong repo. Never mind. So I'm going to go back to repositories. And there we go. And I'm going to send you the link to this. And what I want you all to do is I want you all to fork it. Right? So let's start by forking this code. Oh yeah, don't worry. We'll do a command line interface demo all together in a bit, right? Precisely, Shamari. The best to add one in your IDE, especially because you get much more finer control. And yeah, we can totally do a GitHub CLI, rather Git command line, not just GitHub, in a bit, like 30 minutes, a bit. Absolutely, you can, but you will have to basically what it is in the Git history, in the commit history, you'll be able to see that okay, until this point it was being watched, and from then onwards it wasn't being watched. Precisely. Thank you, Ahmed. That is a great question, Etzra. So what you do is you push it into the fork, your fork, right? Remember, you did not clone the main repo. You first forked it in your own GitHub account and then you cloned it, right? So you're gonna push it into your account repo, and from there you'll be able to create pull requests into the main repo. Amazing, thank you, Maruti. And this is the repo that you're now forking. It's okay, Anudhyan. Take your time, sign in. Alright, next step after fork. Crew in here is absolutely in, let's go mode, which is amazing, right? So after forking folks, what I want you all to do is I want you all to go to code and I want you all to hit this copy button, okay? So we'll look into this in just a bit, so don't worry about that. But over here, what if you have forked it, you're not looking into command line just yet, right? So what I want you all to do is I want you all to over here add a file and create a new file. All right, or rather, you know what? Wait, I'll just create a new file. Okay, so I'm gonna do a hash. This is a fun demo depot. Alright, so I'm gonna add my name. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna preview it. And why it won't let me commit changes is because this does not have a name. So I'm gonna add a readme B. There we go. So now when I go to preview, you can see it's like this, and I'm gonna commit changes. Alright, so now I'm gonna do first demo commit. Usually there are templates here also if it's an established project, and I'm committing directly to my main branch. All right, so this is my readme. All right, folks, now what I want you all to do is in your repos in your forks, it will show you that the stream is ahead. So I want you all to pull the request. All right, so if you go to your repo now, if you forked it before I made this change, you should be able to pull request. If not, that's fine. Don't worry about it. What I want you to do next is go to the main code again. Right, so I'm going to go to the main code, and you can see you want to click here on readme.md and edit it. Okay, so you all will edit it and add your name right below mine. Okay, so how will you add it? Enter hyphen space and your name. Okay, and then you can add an exclamation mark or an emoji, however you want to go about it. All right, so this is the open source project we just looked at. Very cool. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna give you all say another 4 minutes to do it, right? And once you're done, let me know. Okay, so while you all do that, let's also take a quick 5-minute break. Alright, so it is 9:31 on the clock. We'll be back around 9:36, 9:37, and we will complete our GitHub workflow. Alright, folks. Alright, folks, how are we doing? I see a lot of questions. I hope you all took a break. I don't think most of you all did. Okay, so okay, Crowan was being helped. Sazid is done. Awesome. Forking done. Awesome. Anudhyan, if you're done with forking, what you want to do is basically, you see this repo, that this readme that I've created. In that, go ahead and edit it, and right after my name, add your name. How do you add your name? Add a hyphen and then add your name, because it's a readme. Awesome. Have you already made pull requests also? Awesome. Let me have a look and see if you all have made pull requests. I see 2 comments and 9 pull requests. I am very impressed. Awesome, folks. All right, so let me quickly go one by one. So this was opened first by Amari. Awesome. So I'm gonna, because this was the first, so if you see, I'm gonna go back, right, to pull request, and let's go to every pull request, and it'll tell me that there are no merge conflicts, right? And I can just merge the pull request, right? So this is true until the last one opened by Sujit. So even over here, it's going to tell me there's no merge request. There's no conflict, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go and accept Amari's pull request, right? So I have reviewed it and now I'm going to do a merge. So there's squash and merge. If there are multiple commits, I can just do like or multiple pull requests also, I can squash and merge it. But I'm just going to do a merge commit. All right. Rebasing will make a new branch and then add to the base branch. All right. And let's do a merge pull requests. Yay. Amari. Awesome. PR1. Awesome. So there we go. I'm going to do confirm merge. And this has been merged. Now you can see I can always revert this at any point. Now, however, if I go back, okay, Tomlin's also made his request. That's awesome, folks. So I'm going to go and look at the next merge request. So you can see Shamari's request has gone. I'm just going to go and look at Mesujit's request. Now it's going to tell me there is a conflict, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on resolve conflict, right? So you can, he's telling me that Emily is what already exists and the Cronin is what is a conflict. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the batch, going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this. Now I'm going to say mark as resolved, and it's going to commit the merge. And I'm going to click on merge pull requests. So, yay. I'm going to take your usernames because I have forgotten the name that was in the readme because I was focused too much on removing the conflict. But this is PR2. Alright, awesome, confirm. So this is how you resolve a conflict. Now, let's say if I did not want to work this hard, right? What do I do? Now here's where I'm going to make you all work hard. I'm going to ask you all to go back to your own PR. You all are going to resolve the conflict and then you all are going to make a new PR. And actually just edit the PR, right? So now go back to your repos. What you all can do is you all can pull the request, right? So now if let's say I go to my code, this is the main code branch, right? But if this wasn't the main code branch, I would see here a notification saying that this branch, the main branch, is ahead by 2 commits. And you can pull the commits into your branch. And that is exactly what I'm going to get you all to do. You want a GitHub module tutorial? All right, Ajay, I will keep that in mind. Awesome. Holy crime is also done. All right, folks. Cronin is waiting for the merchant. I know I merged his. Did I merge his pull request? I don't think so. But now I'm not going to merge your pull request. All right. So now I want you all to go back to your main code and pull the request, pull the current commits, and then again create a pull request. Let me see if anyone has done that. No one's done that because I will be able to see that the conflicts have been resolved. Come on, folks, I'm waiting for you all to pull the current changes and then make a new GitHub pull request. If you all are confused, let me know. Because I just merged two PRs, right? So now the main code base has changed. So now for you, the change you've made is different from the original change. Make sense, Ahmed? Okay, let me see if I can demonstrate this better for you all. I'm going to go back to my repo. 100 repos. Okay, so this is a good example, right? IoT for Beginners is a Microsoft repo, and this is the one that has been forked, right? So you can see this branch is 42 commits behind, right? So you can click on sync fork and click on update branch. When you do, or you can first click on compare actually. As soon as you click on compare, it will tell you the changes that are different. Okay, so these are the changes that have been made, which are different, right? And you can see that this is the base repo and this is the head repo, and you are able to merge. So this is not what I want to do though. I do not want to create a pull request. What I want to do is I want to sync it, right? So I'm going to click on sync fork and I'm going to click on update branch. The moment I click on update, it's gonna, this is my fork, right? This is the original repo. This is my fork. And now this is, up to date with the latest branch. All right, folks. So now if I make a pull request or if I create a change, it won't have any conflicts. All right. So I am going to go back to our code over here. Click on pull requests. And I'm guessing this does not have, there we go. Maruti did a great job. He has already pulled all the changes. So now it makes my life much easier. I'm going to see if anyone else did that also. I guess Kshitij also did that. Awesome. Kshitij just added. Okay, a lot of you all did that. Awesome. But here's the thing. Every time I click on merge request from someone, I think Roshan was the first to do it. Okay, so unfortunately I'm gonna merge Roshans. As soon as I do this, you all will again have conflicts. So we'll have to keep doing this cycle until everyone gets merged. Alright. So yay. Roshan. And this is PR3. And confirm merge. Alright, folks, you're gonna have to go through the merge conflict, resolution cycle all over again. How do you do that? Remember, just pull in the changes to your branch. And yes, that is awesome, Feroz. That's probably because either you okay, you made this change. Let me see, Feroz. Four. Feroz, if you go to your README now, there will be oh, there we go. You just merged it. That is awesome. So I'm gonna merge it. Yay. Feroz. Awesome, folks. Y'all are learning this so well. PR4. Confirm merge. So I'm just gonna keep going to your now PRs and see if y'all have pulled your main branch into the thing. And Ahmed still has conflicts. Let's see. MRE has updated the README. And she does not have any conflicts. I'm not gonna write this, but yay. 2. PR5. Awesome, folks. You all have gotten the hang of it. Now I promise I will pull all your, I'll merge all your pull requests. If there are conflicts, I'll resolve them myself. I will, you know what, let's look at another 4. If there are no merge conflicts, I will merge them. But every time I merge one it's gonna get weird, it's gonna get difficult. But okay, I'll merge all your pull requests today for sure, but I do not want to spend more time on this because we still have command line to cover. All right, and we have exactly 40 minutes to do that. So you all understand pull requests, you all understand issues. So let's quickly practice that as well, right? So let's go to issues. I'll create a new issue. All right, so this is a demo issue, right? So this is to practice how issues work, right? And I'm going to do a submit new issue. All right. And all you need to do is come here and basically leave a comment about how you would like to either, work on this issue, or you're practicing how to comment on an issue, right? If you all want to do it, go for it, just for practice and, to understand what all buttons and controls exist there. You created a new PR. Did you? Let's see. I promise I'll merge all your pull requests. Okay? Because this is going to take a while, because every time I merge a pull request, it's going to get tricky for others, because you'll have to keep pulling. I think this is PR6. There we go. Confirm merge. Okay, so y'all can keep your pull requests ready. I will merge them today. Okay, but that's I'm glad I could. I'll merge everyone's pull request in case you all can resolve the conflicts. Great. Otherwise, I'll do it. Don't worry. Okay. You all understand how the workflow works. That is what's important. Okay. So let's look into the next part. We know how issues work. We know how code works. We know how changing on GitHub directly works, right? So you all have now used the editor on GitHub to change the files. And now I know there's an editor also, like a proper code editor on GitHub as well, but it gets a little tricky. Usually people prefer developing in the local environment, right? So let's move on to our next task, which is command line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my terminal, and I'm actually going to check if I have Git myself, because I do. Awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to move this here. And I'm going to add my terminal here and share the entire window so you all can see. All right. So if you all want to share screen, window, no, entire screen, screen 2. All right. Awesome. So this is the screen we're at. All right. This is your GitHub. I'm going to go back to code, and now I'm going to open my terminal. All right. And I'm going to maybe close window. Okay, awesome. So this is what happens when I type git, right? This shows me all the different commands that I can do, right? So git add, git clone, git init, git restore, right? So let's go back to our UI and look for git install. Right, when you go here, you can find Git downloads. This is the link I'm sharing with you all. In case you all don't have Git installed on your computers. All right, so CTRL-V, and there you go. So I'm going to give you all 3 minutes on the clock to quickly download it. Once you all download it, we will go over, we'll go back to our PPT actually for a quick bit. Right, we already did this. You looked at this code. I showed you this code. We looked at code. We looked on the issues. We looked pull requests. Okay, perfect. We have through with a lot of Git terminology, right? So now we're going to look at the GitHub collaboration workflow. We already did that. Fork, branch, we have stage. Stage is what we'll look at in a bit. Commit, you all know. Commit is when you all finalize the changes. Merge, you already know. You already know how to merge. Now you all know how to resolve conflicts also, right? So we forked. We did not create a branch. We don't want to create a branch just yet. We edited a readme and we committed the changes. We created a pull request and we also merged it. And we also resolved conflict. Awesome. Great. We are on to the GitHub command line. Okay, already done. Cronin already has it installed. Folks, if you all are installing it, please let me know. I'll wait, otherwise I'll continue. If you everyone has it installed, there's really we can quickly get started. But it's okay. I'm gonna give you all 3 minutes anyway to get through with it. Done. Maruti is done. Awesome, folks. I'm gonna wait for another at least Shimari is done. Awesome. Folks, I'm gonna give you all another. So it's 9:54 on my clock. I'm gonna wait till 9:56. 2 more minutes. Dev is done. Hassan is done. Kshitij is done. Awesome. Great, folks. I love the speed we're going at. I don't know how it took me so long earlier. This workshop goes on usually for like 3 hours minimum when I take it. This is the fastest I've taken it. I'm so glad. All right, so many people are done. And at the last minute, folks, I did say I'd wait 2 minutes. Done. Dual nature is done. Shita just saying, let's start. All right, at least tell you all what to do next, right? Okay, so if you all have installed it, definitely go to your command line or terminal or whichever OS you have in the command line interface of that, and just type git, right? So if I type git, it should first recognize it as a command, and when you press it, it should be able to tell you all the commands that are available with that keyword, right? Abhijit is also done. All right, folks, let's get started, right? So what we're going to do next is, let's say we go here and usually do a git version check. So let's do a git version check, right? So git version, and you can see, because I typed it wrong, and it says 2.40.0, which is pretty ahead of the PPT, right? Now, you can see that we have our git installed. Hopefully you all can see our versions too. Now we're going to get git connected to our GitHub account. So how do you do that? We will find our username. So your username is what is on the top right corner. So let's say we go back to our GitHub page. This is what your username is, the one above your name, right? You can see the UI has changed quite a bit from the PPT, but that's all right? So that is your username. Remember your username, and this is what we're going to do now, right? So we're going to do a git config global user.name, and let's do that. I know I have mine configured, but that's okay. Reconfiguring it won't hurt, right? So I'm going to do git config, right? So global user.name, and my name is Let's 13. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste this for you all in the chat. So you all can just quickly copy it into your git command line and not worry about it. So there you go, folks. Right, so I'm going to also enter. There we go. This is configured. Now I'm going to configure my email ID, which is something I probably shouldn't show, but that's okay. So git config global user dot email. Alright, so this is it. I'm also going to copy paste that for you all. Right, so all I need you all to do is now copy paste these two, and that will configure the basic interface for your GitHub account to your Git account. Alright, so we'll cover the useful commands once I know you all have configured it. So you're not in your username, Shimari, is that what's happening? Can you post your question on Discord very quickly? Can you post a screenshot of where you're at? Yes, but that will exit her from the terminal. How will she, if she opens the terminal again, she'll probably be in the base, if that's your default setting. That is a good question, Feroz. If you're not sure, don't configure it just yet. But you know what? Let me see if I can look that up, right? You can do git config list. That's the command you want to use. Wait, let me just copy paste it for you, Feroz. So copy, and there you go, Feroz. Could you also tag me, Shamari? I hope you've tagged me because I'm not sure which channel you must have posted it in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to run that as well. So git config list. So, okay, so this is the entire. So you can see my email is this and my username is this. Awesome. So that's how you can check. Alright, once you're here, Shamari, I still don't see your question. Can you? Oh, there we go. I see it now. Prithvi, okay. That's okay. You are correct. That's where you want to be. Don't worry about that. So the error you're getting SHR7 is that you already have a different username configured. So use this command that I just did, which is git config list, and it'll tell you what your configured username is. And Shamari, you're okay if it's in the base. It's not really a problem. But if you still want to like navigate, you all can do a quick dir, right? So if you're on Windows, Shimai, just do a dir, and what you can do is you can cd into where you want to be. But I don't think it should ideally be a problem. So Shrey, what I would suggest you do is you do a quick git config list, like I just showed, right? So this command, and if you run this command, it will tell you what is the configured email ID. Which command, Cronin? Oh, you're working on the base project that you are in? Well, then just do a quick cd dot dot. If you're sure that you will just do a cd dot dot and you'll go into the folder before that. And I would do a cd. Let's see. So did I give you all the configure command wrong? Isn't this the one that I gave? Yep, this is the command, folks, that I've given. All right, checking Discord. Perfect. So your username is configured, Shreya. You can see that, right? Your user dot name is configured to Shreya, and your user dot email is Shreya Gupta, which is wrong, right? Because you want your email ID to be this and your name to be this. So just go for it and override it. Remember when it was asking change or you replace all? So you can do a replace all to change the user dot name, right? So global. Then you use this, right? replace all, and then you do user.name Shreya Gupta, whichever one is correct, right? So I can see over here it's configured wrong, right? Your user.email is not your username, it's your email ID, and your user.name is your name. So you can see there are multiple values for user.name as well. So you can do a replace all, or just go for a global and override it. It will give you an option to override it. Alright, Shreya? Alright, in case you all are still facing issues, don't worry about it. The only thing you all won't be able to do is push it into your GitHub. You all can still do all the other commands. Alright, so let's continue, and then I'll stick around if you all still face problems when pushing it. Okay. Awesome. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back to my GitHub, and I'm going to go to code, right? I'm going to click on code, and you need to do this on your forks. Okay, so over here it should say forked from frenzy13/GHW data git. So it will be your repo, the one that is under your username. Okay, then I'm going to click on code, HTTPS. All right, so SSH and GitHub CLI are other ways to do it, and CLI is also very easy. SSH is basically another protocol to have a secure connection. So for HTTPS, remember, we're configuring our email ID and password, our email ID and username, and then eventually when we push it, we'll have to put our password also. But over here in HTTPS, while cloning the repo, there's no security as such because you've configured your email ID and username, right? So I'm going to click on clone, right? Or copying the repo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into command line, type git clone, and paste the URL that I just copied. Okay, and press enter. What it's going to do now is it's basically going to clone it, right? So that's fine, right? So I've cloned the repo, all right. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to now what it does is when you clone it, it basically created a project folder with the entire project. All right, so now I can just cd into it, and this will remain the same. The name will remain the same, right? It's going to be GHW. So I'm going to do no, there we go. This is the folder, and now when I do a dir, it will tell me the two files that are there, which is readme and license, right? What I'm going to do next, alright, Shamari, then I suggest just cd out of the folder you're in, right? So cd dot and just come out of it wherever you are in the folder structure. And if you're still not sure, then I suggest open a folder, your libraries directly, okay? And in that, what you can do is create a, so let's say this is your working directory, right? So this is your working directory. What I can do is I can go in my structure, I'll create a new folder, right? So new folder. Alright, so let me call this demo GHW data. And then I do a right click, and then I can open it in the terminal, right? So I can just open it in the terminal. When I do that, it will open in that folder. And then over here, you can do a git clone. And then it should be fine. Shivani, did my instructions make sense? Just create a new folder and right click into it, or not even a new folder really. If you want to stay in your username, just right click here and then open that in the terminal. And you will open, and you can now do whatever you want in the folder you can work with. All right, VS Code it is. Folks, if terminal is not something you're very comfortable with, VS Code is fine. Because next I am actually going to open VS Code. So I'm going to do a code dot. What code dot it does is it opens that folder in VS Code. So I am in my GHW data get folder, which I cd'd into after cloning. And I'm going to do a cd dot. And my VS Code should open at any given second. And there we go. It has opened. So it has both my folders. All right. So we're going to do the same thing, folks. One of you all left the equal to and that's fine. Okay. What I'm going to do here is now I'm going to, in front of my name, say changed in CLI. Okay. Then I'm going to hit save. Okay. Next, I'm going to go back into my command line, or you all can always open the terminal here, whichever you all are comfortable with. Okay. So if you open a terminal here, use git, you can always use git here. Alright. So git bash, right? There's always a git bash that you can use here. Just even if you click just git here, so let's say and you can do all the changes from here, right? So that's a simple way to go about it as well. That way you'll always be in the folder you want to make changes in. So I'm going to go to my terminal, however, because let's have continuation, right? So I'm going to do a git add dot. What is git add dot? Remember that term staging we did not cover last time. So what staging is basically doing is it's saying that, okay, these are the changes that have been made. Okay. Now these changes have been put into this small folder which might be final, right? It is this place where, okay, I might make more changes, but these changes will definitely be final. But you can always change them. So if you change any of those files, there won't be a log of the changes that you've made. But they've been staged, right? And you have to stage your changes before you commit them, right? So what happens is when you do a git add dot, it's basically taking all the changes. Remember, we're taking a snapshot of only the changes. So we're taking a snapshot and we're taking all the changes and getting the changes ready for the log. If you do a git commit directly over here, it's going to say I have nothing to commit because I don't see any changes. Only when you do a git or add dot. Now a dot is basically all. I'm saying take all the changes. If I want to do only one file, I will type the file name, right, which is readme, right? So I'm just going to do a git add dot, right? So this is going to stage all my changes. Okay, nothing. You'll get no response for that. Next, I'm going to do a git commit and a dash m. A dash m is a comment, right? So comment says I'm bundling it up, and this entire merge, this entire comment is going to be called this. I'm going to call it first CLI commit. All right, and maybe add a yay, right? Because yay, awesome. Precisely. Thank you so much, Hidesh, for summarizing that for me. All right, great. And it's telling me that one file changed, one insertion and one deletion. Okay, awesome. It deleted the last change. It's added one inserted and that one file has been changed. Awesome. Now is the fun part, folks. Now we're going to do a git push, right? Git push. Alright, now over here it will ask you to authenticate your GitHub user ID. Because remember, now you're writing changes to the repo. Cloning Mate doesn't care what you do changes locally. It will care if you're pushing those changes to the web though. Right? So I'm going to do a git push. Now I think I'm signed in, which is why it shouldn't take a lot of time. So it's going to directly push it. And now if I go into my GitHub, there we go, and refresh this, it will show me now, and one of you all has created two readmes. Okay, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna change this because this is not the readme I want on the front. So I'm gonna first go here and delete this. Okay, now this is what I want, and there we go, right? So this is what I want, and folks, don't change that, okay? Keep the readme as small. That's on purpose, because you see what happened? You all probably, went into your command line, initialized a new readme, or, it automatically took a capital readme, and that's when things got different, right? But it's okay. All of you all have changed the right file, so I'm not worried. Okay, so our readme is all small. But you can see this is commit. Now if I go to my commit history, there'll be one deleted file because I did do that last, right? But now when I go to my over here, git, sorry, dir, I do not have it, right? So it was definitely, I don't know how did it get pulled then, which is weird. But okay, we'll look into that later, right? So I deleted this. I just want to see where the readme came in. There we go. This is where the readme came in. All right, folks, no worries, right? So I should have pulled it. I'm guessing it didn't get pulled somehow. Otherwise, it's okay because I don't see the capital readme right here. Let's look at our VS Code. There's no readme over here as well, so it's weird. Okay, folks, is that clear? So we have done everything till pushing it. However, you all will have another step because once you push it to your repo, you will also have to create a pull request into the main repo, that is this repo. Alright? So you all can go ahead and do that. You all can always update the current readme for you all, and I'll push it at some point today. Okay? So awesome, folks! Congratulations, we've gone over the entire workflow of Git, including the Git command line. All right, so let's go over our final PPT too while we're at it. So we've done clone, we've done staging, right? So staging is basically Git add, right? So we've done staging, cloning. We've also done a git commit with a -m adding the command for explanation, that is, the comment on your commit. And when you push it, you've added all the changes to the. No, you do not need to create a branch. I mean, if you want to create a branch, you're welcome to, but you don't need to here. The thing is, with branches, people get confused. This has happened in the past. Like, while it's good to know how the branches button works, if you add it, if I keep explaining it in the workflow, it kind of becomes, it's the first time you're learning it. So you feel every time you need a branch, but you really don't, right? If you're working on a specific branch, you don't have to worry about it, right? Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for reminding me. And I will share the slides with you in just like 5 minutes, right? Okay, good. I was very confused because I did not notice that before. Feroz, does that make sense? You do not have to create a branch before committing. It will depend on the organization and the structure, whether they work in branches, whether they, always commit to a single branch, etc. Okay, but in the basic workflow, you do not need to play around with branches. You can and you should, but I don't want you all to think that every time you create a pull request, you have to create a branch, or every time you push, you need a branch. All right, I'm just trying to keep it simple. The basic concept, very simple and to the point for you all. All right. Okay, let's talk about git pull, right? This is the one last command that is left. All right, so we'll go back to the here, and here is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to click here and edit. I'm going to do changed to show git pull, right? So an exclamation mark, because why not, right? So I'm going to do commit changes, update. Again, better explanations are better, always appreciated. I'm going to go back to my command line and I'm going to do a git. Remember, the folder I am in is always the working folder. That is inside the folder that the git, has been initialized. Okay, so git pull. All right, so now when I do a dir, or if I go back to my VS Code and if I refresh this, how do I refresh this? This is the git workflow, but let's say I open this again, right? Let's just do a code dot again. They did not do a git pull. But it did not commit. Okay, let me close this and I'm going to open this again. See, now it took the change. So I'm going to do a git pull again. What's happened now is because I closed the file without it being refreshed, it saved the change, right? So I'm gonna have to do a git stash. What a git stash will do is basically it will take my changes and put it in a different, basically a working tree, but not exactly. You can always remove. No, I did not have stage changes because this change I made earlier, what happened was because my VS Code was open and it did not refresh, it has now saved the last thing and now it has a change that is not staged. We did push the entire change. Remember the last time we did it? So I'm just going to do a git stash. Okay, and now I'm going to do a git pull. And now when I do a code open, it's going to open with all the changes I've made, including the one that I made earlier, right? So it's going to have git, change to push, and change to pull, right? Oh my god, what did I do? I see what's happening. So remember that readme file that was not appearing earlier, it's apparently appearing now, and it's causing a lot of problem. Okay, folks, let me refresh this once and for all. And we'll do a git pull again, right? So we'll do a git pull. Git stash. So the readme does exist basically because I did not delete it from the capital readme still exists somehow and I'm not sure how to delete it. Let's see. Git changes. So what's gonna do now? It's gonna change it to capital, which I do not want. Okay, so now there are no changes, hopefully. I'm just gonna try and add them actually. Okay, I think it's a problem with my internet, honestly. I don't think this is the thing. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a cd dot dot do a mkdir dir new cd new. I'm gonna do git clone and then I'm gonna do code dot and let's see what's the current status because this folder is completely screwed. Okay, there we go. This is good. So this is the correct way. And the git pull did work, but because there was a problem in the staging apparently, I lost track. But yeah. Alright, that's a great question. So stash is basically what it does, it takes all the changes and puts them away. Like, okay, these are the changes. I don't want to delete them, but it will basically keep them in a folder that you name it, and you can always pull them back, right? And it will go back to the original state that you last pulled it in. So it will take all the changes, stash it away, and give you a new working tree. Yeah, it's okay, Shamari. It was way more messed up than that. I don't know. It should have either pulled the capital readme as well, or maybe there was a, and it shouldn't have pushed it if there was a change that it did not require. Don't worry about it. This is great. This is exactly what we need to learn. I'm so glad this happened, right? So there was a huge. This is a mistake on. I don't know how this happened because it shouldn't have pushed the changes if it did not detect a file or it did detect a new file, and I shouldn't have deleted it on the interface. I should have pulled it into my command line and then deleted it. But I'm glad you liked my explanation, Shrikant. Shita, you did not understand what is stash. So stash is basically, let's say I made a lot of changes, right? And I staged them, okay? Or I even committed them for that matter. When I do a stash, or rather you can't do it once you have committed it. If it's only if you have staged it and you do not want to, commit it, you will stash it away. So what it'll do is it'll take all the changes you've made, create a new folder and keep them for you to be able to use later if you want to access them, and it will give you the same working tree as it was before you made all the changes. Make sense, Kshitij? But alright, folks, congratulations. If you all even got through half of the command line, that's great progress. Let me pull the screen up right here. And I'm just realizing I forgot to, give you all very important instructions about register and check-in. I hope you all checked into this event for the extra brownie points. And I'm glad you got it, Kshitij. Awesome, folks. This was one of my favorite sessions that I've been taking since like college. So I'm glad you all had fun to some extent at the very least. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Hassan. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for data and hardware. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Anudhyan. And again, if you all have any questions, GitHub is obviously a great way to reach out to me. Like, you all comment and I'll see it. I'll definitely sit down. I'm going to give you all like 40-50 minutes to create your command line pushes into your repo and make new pull requests. And I'll merge the last pull requests. And yeah, I hope you all had fun and I hope you all understood it. You all are welcome to reach out to me on any of the platforms if you all have questions. My username is usually the same. And awesome, I'm glad you loved the session, Marathi. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Kshitij. Again, always inspired by you, Emily. And awesome, folks. I'll see you all bright and early tomorrow, or if you all are joining from another time zone. I'm so glad you all stayed up. And bye, folks. I will see you all tomorrow. Yes, Shreya, there'll be a recording of the session available right after the stream is over. Great question, Danim. I'll talk more about Haptico Fest tomorrow, I promise. Alright, folks. Bye-bye.